everybody. Okay, I was recording a video earlier, but I decided to delete it because it wasn't really worth it. I decided to discuss something very funny. I love horror movies, okay? I absolutely adore them. Except for, I'm not big on slasher films. My best friend is, but me, I'm not much of a slasher fan. Although I've watched Saw so many darn times, I probably have that movie memorized for some reason. But movies like Poltergeist, let's see. I used to watch a TV show called Poltergeist: The Legacy. Let's see, what else did I watch that was really weird? Dracula. Bram Stoker's Dracula, Hammer films. I mean, I absolutely loved horror movies. Especially ghost ones. I love ghost stories. Ever since I was a little kid, I loved ghost stories. Okay? So, anyway, I grew up, believe it or not, across the street from a haunted hotel. Well, it was more of a bed and breakfast than a hotel, but yeah. I grew up in a place called Evergreen, Colorado. Now, Evergreen has two sets of haunted places. One of them is torn down and was turned into frickin' condominiums, called the Troutdale, named after the Troutdale Hotel. The Troutdale Hotel was one of the biggest hotels in Evergreen. It was also well known, and it was a great vacation spot. But sadly, due to electrical issues, it caught fire in the back. So you would get this really cool montage of the front, and you would see this beautiful hotel. You would see the fountain in the front, overgrown with weeds, and on the back you would see the slightly singed part. I remember driving past that with my dad going four-wheeling one day, and it was like the coolest sight I had ever seen going down Upper Bear Creek. Now, Upper Bear Creek is known as the ritzy side of Evergreen. I was raised in the rather not so rich part. I was raised on Brook Forest. Brook Forest Road was one of the most diverse and most amazing places to grow up on. Especially when you lived across the street from the Brook Forest Inn. Brook Forest Inn was haunted. Everybody knew it was haunted. Nobody talked about it, but we all knew it was haunted. When I was pretty much a little kid, I absolutely loved going there. And going inside, walking around. I mean, as a little kid, it enamored me. Yes, it was a bar on the bottom part. And yes, we had a few bikers that would go driving through. I mean, the bartender was really nice and he gave us free drinks. Not alcoholic drinks, mind you. I mean, I was a little kid. I was probably drinking Shirley Temples, and he also had lemonade for the kids. And usually, the owner was a pretty nice guy. The chef, on the other hand, now, they went through so many chefs that it was like, it's like a revolving door. Yeah, and they did. And it was still a great place to go. People still went there for the restaurant, and some people went there to stay the night. Now, the top two floors of the place, and I will give you this one description. The master suites were on the very top of the building, and the regular hotel part, or the inn part, was on the second floor. Second floor was still being remodeled when I was a kid because they were trying to update part of it to be up to code because there was only one working bathroom up there. I kid you not, there was only one working bathroom, okay? The place was built in the 1800s or the 1860s or 1890s, I don't know. So it looked like something out of a really old, people would stop in stagecoaches or something. So I remember just running around the top part with the owner's daughter, who only came during the summer, and she was pretty cool. I don't even remember her name. So we were running back and forth, back and forth. This was my run-in with the ghost. Okay. My run-in with the ghost. I don't even remember. I think I was between the ages of 6 to 8. We were running back and forth between the area, and, of course, running down the hallways, pivoting this way and that way. My sister and I were having fun with her. We were playing hide-and-seek in the part of the inn that was being pretty much renovated. And nobody was working on it at that time because it was a break. And so my sister had to go to the bathroom. So she went to the bathroom on the other side of the room. That was still the working bathroom. Like I said, there was one working bathroom on the second floor with 8 rooms. You do the math. I think there were 8 rooms. I don't remember. I think there were 8 or 6 to 8 rooms. You do the math. I don't think that was a good idea to have one working bathroom. Seriously. So, I'm walking down the stairs because I was looking for my dad. And I was about the 3rd step up from, like, the 3rd step to getting to the bottom. And I suddenly feel somebody push me. Literally, I felt a hand just push me off the steps. And I fell and landed. And my dad was yelling at my sister. Okay, mentally, I don't know. I was not sure. I was a little rattled because I was like, okay, this is not good. My sister is somewhere in the... So, yeah. My sister comes downstairs going, what happened? Oh, she fell down the stairs. You pushed her. No, she didn't. She was in the bathroom, was what the other girl said. My dad didn't quite believe her. I kind of brushed it off, got up and went, okay, whatever. I'm thirsty. Can I have a drink? And of course, we go to the bar and have the Shirley Temple and everything's right with the world. Well, years later, I was thinking about that story and about how I got pushed down the stairs and how my dad instantly thought it was my sister. It wasn't my sister. I don't even know what the hell pushed me down those damn stairs. And to this day, I think I had a run-in with the ghost. Many people have run-ins with ghosts at that hotel, and it's pretty simple. Every Halloween, either Channel 2, Channel 4, or whatever would have news stories about it. Well, recently the place went under a different management or has been up for sale. I hope somebody buys it and actually does something with it that is not tearing it down and turning it into condominiums like they did with Troutdale Hotel, okay? Personally, I loved that place. The Brook Forest Inn, for me, has a lot of memories and a lot of stuff I love about it. As a kid, I remember just running around. As an adult, I actually wish we could do cosplay meets there and do costuming and stuff like that because it would just add some ambience to the place and also free advertising for the owner. But like I said, when I grew up in Evergreen, there were a lot of things I remember that were fun. We had moved from the stable house across the street to a nice little place further down, which was the first house on the left, on the wrong side of the mountain, technically. Hey, we went with what we could afford. But, that place was actually pretty interesting. There were strange things that went around there. My house was almost struck by lightning, not once, but a couple times. We had lived in Evergreen since the time I was 2 years old, and it has been one of the most wonderful experiences. Just don't go to elementary school there. But yeah, I went to school at one of their schools. It was not a very pleasant experience for me either. That place was actually pretty cool. It had a little one-room schoolhouse in front of the building, and it was just one of those really large schools that I think my most wonderful memory was my best friend. Her name was Kirsten. And Kirsten Robbins and I would go everywhere together. We would run around all over the place together. I mean, we would go to... she would come down... She had moved onto Forest Estates after her mom and dad decided to move to a bigger house. And they loved the house that they lived in there. And they loved our place because it was within walking distance. It was a little far, but the kids would walk downhill to my house, and we would run around, and we had a large forest to play in, and we were having so much fun. But there were several times that the place could actually be downright scary. We had a babysitter in the basement named, his name was Tim. He was actually, had been my babysitter since I was about 6 or 7, and had been a family friend. I didn't know he was gay, so it was kind of not a shocker to me when he did come out, because we kind of figured it out, so he was cool. I loved him, and, he used to watch, he got me addicted to Babylon 5, he got me into a lot of science fiction stuff, and, one day, he decided he was going to watch me, my sister, and Kristen, and her brother, and we were all pretty much doing whatever. And he's sitting there watching TV with us. And one of the things that really creeped us out is at night, the drunk people from the Brook Forest Inn would go down Forest Estates like bats out of hell and crash into the creek in front of my house. So you can imagine Tim's comment of, not another one, because he had a drinking problem himself, but he always managed to control it better than most. And he's just standing there at the door telling my parents on the phone as this was before the years of cell phone, because they were at a friend's house, what was going on. So Tim called 911. Of course, the police arrived, so did the paramedics. There was nobody injured, except for maybe a very, very confused drunk person. I kid you not, that was actually what happened in front of my house. Another time this happened, my grandmother was visiting. Now, my grandmother, on my mom's side of the family, is the most irritating person to date on my family tree. We'll call her Grandma G. Grandma G. Grandma G, I will not use her real name. I'll call her Grandma G. Grandma G was Grandma G. So, one night, I had just gotten back from Girl Scouts. I'm tired. I get changed for bed. And, of course, I caught a cold. So my grandmother's, busy checking my forehead. And all of a sudden, we see some flashing lights. I look up. I'm like, what's that? And I'm sitting on the couch pointing out the window going, what's that? What's what? Lo and behold, my grandmother looks out the window. And I hear her go, she yells my mom's name and says, you need to look out the window. I think the cops are taking somebody away. We look out the window, of course, by my playhouse, and right next to my favorite toy, which was a toy dump truck, is this guy in handcuffs, sitting next to my toy, busy moving it with his feet. Mental image of a drunk guy in handcuffs, sitting on the grass, playing with my dump truck. It's not a mental image that I wanted to see at about 9 years old, but yeah. I'm looking out the window going, Mom, he's playing with the dump truck. I don't care, Mariah, get away from that window. But Mom, I should just give myself the synonym. Just call me Nagi, okay? So my mom's like, Nagi, get away from the window. But Mom, Nagi, get your butt away from that window right now and watch some TV. So my mother sits me down, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this. So what do you want to watch? So I turn on Channel 6. That was my go-to channel at the time, was to go to Channel 6. Because after 8 o'clock at night was British comedy time. So I'm sitting there watching Are You Being Served? My grandmother's sitting there watching this going, do you even understand what half of this is saying? No. But Mom said don't look out the window. Okay. So she and I are sitting there watching Are You Being Served? Great British humor. I am loving it. And my grandma is not amused. But after the whole thing of growing up in Evergreen, I learned the very fundamentals of things about growing up. And that is, my elementary school sucked. Okay, I went to, I kid you not, 2 elementary schools before. I went to 2 different elementary schools. One was in Norman, Oklahoma at the time. And then, that was my preschool years. And then I went to the school in Evergreen, and we'll just not give a name for it. It was just hell on earth. My mother, of all the people I've ever met, or I've ever known, if my mother ever pissed anyone off, it was my mother and this one teacher. And I mean, I've had teachers who would placate my mother to all hell and back, and then I would have this one lady, and I don't know what her deal was and why she had such a beef with me and my sister. This lady did not like my sister. She liked me. I was a very good little girl, but for whatever reason, she hated my little sister, and my sister did nothing wrong. And I sat there one day, and my little sister was telling my mom all this stuff. And I mean, she gave my sisters this random homework that were just stupid. Even I knew it. And I mean, my sister was actually pretty smart. In fact, she was given into one of the brighter classes called Wings groups, which was the higher up classes for advanced students. And my sister and I were just sort of confused because we had teachers that loved us and teachers that absolutely hated us. My sister, we won't give her a real name, M was actually very, very smart. I remember going to class with her, and we ended up in a group class which was like a combination of third grade and fourth grade. And M was pretty much in that class and was having the time of her life because she was doing all the advanced stuff that she's always wanted to do. So M and I were just sort of, I was in the classroom across from her, and one day, my sister and I got into a little bit of a fight, which most sisters do, and we weren't talking to each other. This went on for 2 days, by the way. My sister and I will start talking to each other randomly when we were little. And so, after the little fight, which I had no idea what it was about, she and I were talking, and of course, one of her friends was like a downright bully, and no matter what any of us did, this girl would just bully me anyway, and I got really tired of it. And I didn't really like this girl anyway, and I really didn't want my sister hanging with her, but oh well, I guess that's how the cookie crumbles. Your sister plays with her friends, and sometimes you end up with the asshole who is a complete and utter jerk. Later in life, she's still a complete and utter jerk. My sister outright just stopped talking to her. Yay for my sister! Yay! But yeah. So, my elementary school was the worst ever at times. Because, yes, I have a learning disability. For math. Okay? I suck at math, alright? I am terrible at math. Give me an algebraic equation and you'll see me go, no thanks. Bye. Give me something about English, or literature, or arts. I am all over it like a freaking fly on rice. I absolutely love it. But no. Monday, I had the math teacher from hell. Now, third grade math, well, actually, no, second grade math. At my school, we started with the times tables. Did I mention I hate math? Did you mention I'm bad at math? Oh, yes, I'm terrible at math. My math teacher didn't give a crap if So, she had an argument with my mother. I think my mother and her had it out for about... So, my special ed teacher, who was a math tutor in general, took me aside and started tutoring me, and guess what? Math. And found out the problem was not my way of it was my way of thinking about math. Because I was so analytical, it drove a lot of problems for me. I overanalyze everything. Even today, I still overanalyze every math equation, every history question. I overanalyze. Mr. Miller, my college history teacher, wanted to strangle me because I kept giving randomly generated answers to things that were true. And some of his questions were actually, theoretical. So, yeah. Anyway, after this whole triasis of my teachers trying their darndest to teach me math, I decided I wanted to learn it a different way. Which my math teacher was more than willing to try anything, because I sucked at math. My favorite teacher of all time is Mr. Philippi. I don't know if Mr. Philippi will ever watch this video and know anything about him. My 5th grade teacher was the most awesome guy ever. And this was the year my stuff got stolen. Yeah. That summer, my mother had bought me a brand new trapper, which I had longed for forever. It was this beautiful one with a swan on it. I absolutely loved it. Because this was the year that we got into stuff like you needed a trapper, like a spiral notebook. You needed a 3-ring binder, which the trapper was. 4 sets of folders. 2 for one subject and 2 for another. I needed markers, coloring pencils, the whole shebang. Pretty much I was set. The only thing that I could not afford was the glue stick. Actually, I had the glue stick from last year, and we never used it in my 4th grade class. Why we had glue sticks, I'll never know. We never used it. We used regular Elmer's glue. So, and, oh, yeah. Blue and black and red ink pens. Those were actually for the teachers, but us kids were allowed to use them anyway. Well, don't ask. I used mine for notes and a highlighter. So, yeah, that was pretty much it. I was set. I had my backpack. I had everything. And the thing is, I actually enjoyed my... But 5th grade was also the year I got a bit of a backbone. For years I'd been bullied, and I wasn't feeling like, okay, I've had it. So, that summer, I had gone to summer camp, and I had learned a lot from Girl Scouts on how to stand up for myself. So, lo and behold, my bullies discovered the most very bad thing that happened to me. I grew a backbone, and I wasn't nice about it. In fact, I was actually downright angry. My English, of course, Mr. Philippi was my English teacher. He was standing there, and one day this one kid said something, and I said, yep, whatever. And she's like, whatever? I just insulted you. Yeah, whatever. It sort of just blew off of me. At first I was like, I should cry, but I'm not gonna. I was sitting there, and I was just like having the greatest time talking to one of my best friends. And, of course, the girl was totally floored. There was this one girl, this red-haired girl, and I think her name was Margaret, walked up and she said, usually you don't do this kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, so? You want to sit with me can I sit with you at lunch? Okay. So I ended up with a small group of friends. And this small group of friends actually turned out to be the best group of friends I ever met. And, but it didn't protect me from getting my stuff stolen. So one day, it was like close to winter. My mom had come in to help be a class volunteer. And I was just ready to go out and do stuff. My mom had to go do something else because she was also on the PTA. So I came back, sat down on my chair, pulled out my stuff. It was gone. My trapper was gone. I searched my backpack. I searched everywhere I could have put it. It was gone. Utterly gone. Including my homework. That was in it. I had been very diligent and had done my geography homework about a week in advance, because the teacher would give it out and I would finish it pretty much very quickly, and I already knew how to read a map, and I knew how to read a key. I knew how to read all this stuff. And I was in tears, and of course the geography teacher was in the classroom talking to us. I was talking to Mr. Philippi, and he looked up and he said, oh dear. I'm sitting there crying my eyes out, and I just couldn't believe. And, of course, accusations were flown around the room. One of the girls that was my friends threw an accusation at this boy who was sitting next to my, who had been pretty close to my desk, and had dropped something off at my desk because okay. One of my friends was a guy. His name was Matt. He was one of the only few Hispanic students at the school. Instantly, somebody threw the accusation that Matt stole my trapper. Matt confided in me that he knew who stole it, but he couldn't tell me who stole it because he was told if he said anything, he'd get beaten up. And I kept telling people, please stop accusing him, because he never stole anything. Years later, when I ran into him again, and this was my 9th grade year, and he said, you remember that really cool trapper that you had that you were so proud of? And I go, yeah. Did you ever get it back? And I go, yeah, I did. Oh, good. And I said, what happened? He goes, well, I found it. It was stuffed in one of the closets in school. And I turned it in, and they still suspended me. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, I didn't take your thing, but I know who did. And I'm like, okay. He told me who did it. And it was this, and honestly, years later after he told me who took it, and all the trouble that it caused him, he later confided that he had really wished that I had not moved away, because I was the only person who actually talked to him. Because he was in my taekwondo class, he was in a lot of my other classes outside of school, that he actually felt like he had somebody to relate to. That, and I accidentally beamed him in the head with an umbrella while riding the bus with him. It was raining. and I didn't know he was behind me until I beamed him in the head with it. I didn't stick it in his eye, I just sort of tapped him on the head with it. And everyone kept accusing me of hitting him, and I'm just sitting there going, he's like, no, that was an accident. Please stop blaming her. But yeah, years and years later, I realized my elementary school just sucked royal balls, and people think that I'm going to hold a grudge against it. I'm going to tell people the truth. That school sucked. It treated its students with special needs like we did something really, really wrong, and we kind of deserved to be bullied, which we didn't. But honestly, that school just honestly needed to upgrade itself on its mentality on how they treat their students. I went to another school in the same district, and there you could see it, the difference was night and day. This school was in Littleton, and this is where I met my really good friend Angel, who's been my best friend ever since. Basically, my elementary school in Littleton, they treated all the students equally. You could have had a Down syndrome and walked down the hall and nobody would have given a damn. They would have been, oh, cool, you're here. Whatever, come on over. I mean, there was a little bit of bullying, but not by much. The margin of bullying was pretty rare. The fact is that there was a little bit of bullying, but not by much. There, like I said, there was a bit of margin of error there. I actually am quite thankful that I went to that school, because that's where I met one of my friends. His name was Grant. This is where I met Angel. This is where I met a lot of my really good friends. Grant and my friend Brandon. If it wasn't for Brandon, I wouldn't be here today, okay? Brandon actually saved my life, and he doesn't quite know how much he saved my life. I had a really weird mole, or a really weird patch of mole on my arm, and it was kind of noticeable if I wore short sleeves, and that was actually pretty cool. He was really cool. My elementary school, Mr. Miller was my one of my teachers, and he was pretty neat, a little weird, but neat. But one day, I was sitting in class, and of course, I was teamed up with Grant, Brandon, and this one other kid. I don't remember her name really. We were just sitting there, and we were paying attention to this thing, because it was during a thunderstorm, and we were watching something called Duck Soup. And the lights went on, And Brandon sort of looked at me really strangely, and he said, "Can I talk to you? In all honesty, can I talk to you?" Yeah, talk to me, whatever. Talk to me, whatever, talk to me. He told me my mole was, yeah. So, that one's another story, but as far as I know, if you're going to, Evergreen, there are several different elementary schools to look at. Look at the private ones first, and then go from there. Other than that, yeah. I'll tell you the story of Nagi's bad mole another time. Yeah, I will revert back to my name, Mariah, but please refer to me as Nagi. I've been Nagi since early 2000s, so yeah. But yes, I will tell you this. I didn't mean for this video to go this long, so I usually vlog on another channel, so blah blah, on another social media thing, but yeah. Anyway, this is the most exciting I've ever been about anything. I love Halloween, so it's coming up. I might do a little Halloween thingy. But yeah. And I also have an introduction. I like ball-jointed dolls, so I have one little doll. This is my doll, Liliana. She's creepy, but really not that creepy. Don't look at me like that. I love her. She's my babe. Well, she's my little girl. She's actually, was given to me by my best friend, Jordan. And I am absolutely enamored with her. The only thing is, when I got her, there's a slight problem with her wig. Because somebody used hairspray on it. And it's one of those wigs where you don't use hairspray. Yeah. Let that sink in. I will do another video involving dolls. I have a collection of dolls. They're a little bit creepy for some people, but yeah. I'll do it closer to Halloween because I have Anne, who is a rag doll that my great aunt made for me. I have a doll that I got from Build a Monster. From the Monster High collection from my fiance's mother. She thought I like ball-jointed dolls. But since I couldn't afford one, she bought me one. She bought me a Monster High doll. So, yeah. But I also have other collectible dolls. I have several Sailor Moon dolls, and that's about it. So, I'll talk to you later.